So this morning we had the Afro-Climate AI workshop. There's still half of it to happen this afternoon. And we have very interesting people in the room. So someone from the Mate Agency, physicists, and then people from Google and DeepMind talking about these deep learning models. What do you make of it?
Yeah, no, I think it's quite exciting. I think it's a good mix, and it's sort of like putting together a good story. I mean, we had a very overview on what's happening in terms of evolution of climate risk. And what's also happening now is Africa is unique in terms of the climate challenge. Right? So we've got this lack of observation, reliance on global data sets that are not representative. And I think it's slowly going towards what the diverse interest of our community is about, right? In terms of collecting more data, open sourcing more data, and I guess getting, at the heart of it, getting usable forecasts for the continent.
Yeah, I really liked how Dr. Mbuvha at the end was talking about how deep learning alone can't make it, but also how traditional climate models can't make it. And then comes Ilan with diffusion models and physics inspired. And we also talked about the conditional observation as input. They really seem to complete each other, although they hadn't met before. And that, I think, sends a kind of a message. Like, I think this is the time for AI and climate, and all the ingredients are there.
Yeah, and I think it might actually present a unique opportunity for us, right? In the sense that on the continent, we might not have the compute or perhaps, the human resources to parameterize. Of course, and also, the people to build the physical models, right? So I think AI might be that bridge that if we collect more data, which I think is the biggest priority, we can actually be at state of the art. And I'm interested to hear from you what sort of the impacts that could have, because I think at the end of the day, it's forecasts, but, what can you do with them?
Yeah, right. And I think we heard a lot of this because there is research and there is the state-of-art model. And then at the end, nothing is really done with it. We don't have yet an operational deep learning model used on a daily basis for forecast. And I think maybe the time is now, and maybe the time is it can also happen here because there is a desperate need for it. You do want to start from somewhere, and yes, reanalysis is not perfect, but it could be a start point. So I think maybe we could find a way to empower in that direction specifically, like taking a model that's already established, add observation data, and then provide help within the community to deploy it and complete that last mile.
It's actually quite interesting. Afro-Climate AI is almost, a fork of Masakane. How do you see that model building? How do you see a community working on such a model and the pathway to operationalizing it?
Well, it does help that Ilan said yes and he's joining us. So we have the people who actually designed the model reachable in a sense. And I think that could enable lots of very interesting discussion, like the one we just have about plugging in its observation and how would you technically do it. So it's not just, I want to do it, what's required to do it. So just the fact that we can all sit in these rooms together and ask the different questions could be the starting point. And then, of course, comes compute and maybe eventually funding. We talked about weather stations, so we could actually have data, our own data, and publish it. I think there are so many things we could do, and the fact that very little has been done, I see it more as an opportunity because that means we could do better, right? Because even those models that do quite well in Europe, they're not doing so well with extreme events. So reanalysis has its limit everywhere, everywhere in the tropic in the world. And if we could maybe have the first operational model enhanced with observation data, that could be something beyond our concrete problems right now. It could be beneficial for the whole world.
And I think also not just the novelty of building such a model, I think also the capacity building effort that could come from that. Because you can imagine it's not just a team from DeepMind anymore. It might include undergraduate students. It might include academics on the continent. And I think if we are at the level at which we're building state-of-the-art, I think that kills almost multiple beds. You've got a forecasting model out that is state-of-the-art and also a community that's empowered to work with the best models in medium-range forecasting, for example.
So, absolutely. And we're even talking about community data as well, right? They have this crazy idea to buy weather stations that are low budget and then dispatch them over the community. So you could get this package and then set it up in a matter of 10 minutes, collect your data, publish it, look at your friend from the Indaba who's doing the same thing and maybe collaborate together. So we could eventually cover the whole chain, right? From data to model to deployment, because we have all these people actually sitting in the room.
That's actually quite exciting. And I think the sooner we get to that, the better. I think you've already started. You've bought over the station already, huh?
Yeah, I mean, when we first talked about it, you remember I told you I have this crazy idea, but I'm going to just say it. And then from that first discussion, we've been saying it to different people, like really, really different people, and they're all like,
100%
we like it. Yeah, we like it. So yesterday I was just hearing from someone with a sales background who's interested in the impact and how we can quantify it. The other person is interested in just, building a dashboard out of it, because yes, you could do an API, but visuals could be useful for reporting. And those are all directions I've never thought of, but people seem quite excited about it. And I think there's a bit of do-it-yourself passion behind it, because yes, like no one wants to be helpless. So if we can't get the data, or it's too long or difficult, we're just gonna build our own thing.
Oh, that's pretty exciting. I think it's actually quite and then if the community and the sense of ownership there, because you've got people who have genuine interest in this problem. And some of those things require maintenance, right? So a weather station is almost like a pet. You have to take care of it. And I think within the Afro-Climate AI community, I think you found that, right?
Yeah.
Because one of the barriers, as I understand, is actually the maintenance in terms of the lack of data on the continent. I think. Yeah, it's actually quite a brilliant idea.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've been chatting with Tamu, our data partner, and they've been telling us about this very expensive station, like over $5,000, $6,000 that's deployed in the first year. But then they're having a bit of problem to maintain it and have people really excited and interested about it to get the most out of it. So there is kind of a excitement curve, right? But if the device itself is low budget, you can imagine that it could be seen as a drone, as something you play with, and it's much easier to maintain, much easier to chat about. So you can just grab your station, it's wireless, and it go to your neighbor or travel with it maybe, and you would have another data point. So the accessibility of it is, I think, could make a difference in this sense, because it's so easy to maintain.
How many stations do you think you need to sort of get this off the ground?
Well, that's interesting. It's not very expensive per se. So the station is roughly $120, $130 as compared to traditional weather stations that are like $6,000. But we could maybe manage to start with 10 stations, because that's money out of our pocket. But I think to really make impact, and I'm just quoting Jason from Google, like our keynote earlier, he said something like more than 40 per country, because you can actually grid that, and you can have a very nice distributed network to maximize impact. So we're really looking at 40 per country, and it depends, of course, on the area, like the size of the country. But yeah, something like couple of thousands to start with couldn't be too much of an ask, especially if we can start small and build on it, and we could eventually see impact immediately. So imagine you have 40 stations over Ghana, for example, and then after a year, people are already starting to use the API and doing exactly what Ilan wants them to do, right? Plug it as conditional input, maybe publish, and you would have the state-of-the-art model augmented and made better with these 40 stations. So that could unleash a completely different direction everywhere else in Africa and beyond, of course.
Yeah, no, that's exciting. I'm actually hoping that next year at the Indaba, we have an Afro-Climate AI paper that's based on the data that we've collected ourselves. That would be really, really exciting.
Yeah, I think that would be amazing. And I think we talked to so many people who are excited, so we're going to be in touch and see who wants to write, who wants to deploy weather station, who wants to code, and take it from there.
Yeah. Oh, good chatting to you.
Cool.